Good afternoon, everyone. This is Coach A. We're coming in live from Decaf Coffee Republic, the home of certified life coaches here in the Philippines and soon to be global. You're joining me for Monday with Coach A. This is our weekly coaching talks about issues and concerns that normally a life coach would be encountering in the service, in doing the profession. So if you are a life coach, not only by the Life Coach Training Institute, if you have been certified by other institutions, by any other school and other university, you are welcome. Every Monday I come online, I come live just to share with you best practices in life, best practices in the profession that can help you grow, mature, and really get results as a professional life coach. And for today, you're joining me for mental empowerment. Okay, I just want to say hello to my on-floor guests. I have coaches on floor right now. At nandito si Coach Mike. Akalain mo, Coach Mike. Okay, Coach Janet, Coach Maureen, Coach Rizel, and Coach Rog. We actually have a lot of other coaches in the house, but we are right now on batch 25. Akalain mo, we're already now on batch 25. We're doing batch 25 of the Life Coach Training certification class here at Decaf Coffee Republic, and right now we're doing our Trust Walk. Okay, so I'm taking a break to come live and share with you 3 points on mental empowerment that you need to know, you need to practice, and you need to uphold as a certified life coach or a practicing coach. So if you are a practicing coach all across the globe, these 3 points, these 3 tips can really help you ensure that you are mentally, not just mentally empowered, but you are mentally sane to do the profession. In case this is the first time that you're joining me, this is the first time that we're meeting. If you're watching this on a replay, I am Master Coach A. There are 2 things that I do as a certified life coach. Number 1, I empower people to be mentally fit so you can stay alive and live beautifully. And I do life coach certification program in behalf of the Life Coach Training Institute. I am the global partner for international expansion and certifications all across outside the US. And so if you are interested to become a life coach, a certified life coach, we offer face-to-face certification classes here in Decaf Coffee Republic and other parts of the country. So just get in touch with Coach Rizel, 091-7586-1661 if you want to join and dive into what we're doing as change agents. Okay, let's move on now to our topic. Okay, anyone here on floor who are mentally sane and mentally fit today?
65%.
Okay, how many percent is your sanity? Okay, let's face it, coaches. Okay, in as much as we are equipped, we are skilled, we have tools, we have skill sets, and we have resources, we have the vision and all of those things as we start the profession. Let's face it, working with clients day in, day out, getting phone calls, and some of the clients pay us, some don't, and some are just nadaanan lang natin or nadaanan lang tayo. It's really something that will challenge our mental health. I mean, let's face it, okay? We're humans, okay? So like any other professions, our mental sanity, our mental state, our mental wellness can be threatened by, okay, all the hustles and the bustles that we encounter in life, okay? Agree? Okay, kahit gaano ka pa katino, okay, it has nothing to do if you're living, a good lifestyle, if you do exercise, if you eat healthy food, it has nothing to do with that. The reality of being a life coach, in the reality of being a service provider, you know what? As a life coach, we are the service provider. It is us, okay? It's not like a logistic company that you have a truck to deliver a service, okay? It's not like a telco where you have the systems that deliver the services. It's not like electricity or water bill that you have equipments to set up for that. As a life coach and a service provider, you are the one delivering the service, and the service that you deliver is nothing but yourself. So how's that? How's that? So many, okay, unfortunately, many life coaches would suffer from mental health. Okay, when I say mental health, okay, remember that mental health does not mean that you are sick. Okay, what I'm saying here is many coaches would suffer from a negative or a low positive health. Okay, so you're not an exceptional case. Okay, many would suffer from that. Okay. You're not, okay, So if you're suffering from any mental challenges, welcome to the profession, because normally it really happens. And I want to come in live because many of you knows that it's my advocacy, but I think it's also just right, okay, for a life coach to know that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay that at a certain time you don't want to take clients. It's okay. It's okay when at a certain days you want this day for myself. It's okay. It's okay on certain days that you don't feel like talking. Okay? So you're not like a coffee shop, you're not like a restaurant that you're supposed to be open 24 hours a day. You're not supposed. But however, many of us believe that it's supposed to be the case because we are a service provider and coaching is a lifestyle. Coaching is embedded on us. Coaching is with us. So anytime and over you will hear me say that whether you're a parent, you're a mother, you're a sibling, you're a co-employee, an employer and a co-employee, you are a life coach. So you're not able to take off your hats as a life coach. Yes, that's true. But it doesn't mean that all the time you're supposed to be taking clients in. Okay? Not all the time you're supposed to be mentally capable. Okay, I'm not saying you're suffering from any mental illness, but what I'm saying as a human being. Okay, life coaches are human being. Okay, can you agree with me with that? You're a human being, and as a human being, there are really times that we are mentally challenged. There are really times that the challenges that we are receiving, the cases that we process, although we have tools, okay, the things that we handle, okay, somehow it's really getting into our nerve. Agree, disagree? Agree. Yes? Okay. So, I want to come in as your coach, as your master coach, just to let you know that it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to condemn yourself. You don't have to beat yourself. And you don't have to just like, oh my God, what's happening with me? Is this normal? Is it that I'm coming in simply because of that? Actually, I'm coming in for you. Okay? Actually, for you. Okay? I'm doing this for you. And really, it's beautiful you're here. Okay? So, okay, great. Okay, so there are 3 things that I really want you to look into if you want to maintain a positive mental health in the profession. These are just 3 simple things, but often neglected. And you will be surprised. You will be surprised that if only you've been doing these 3 things, you will be better in performing what we need to do as a life coach, as a service provider. Okay, are you ready? Very quickly. Number 1, okay, validate. Okay, validate the chatter. You know what's the chatter? All the voices and the noises around you. Okay, here's what it happens. Because as a life coach, we talk to a lot of people. As a life coach, we're readily available to help people. Therefore, we are really keen into listening. Okay, active listening skills. Okay, we listen to a lot of people, right? But here's the thing, as a life coach, what we miss or we feel is that we listen so we can facilitate the growth, we facilitate the change, we listen to facilitate the transformation with our client. But here's the thing, most of the time we also listen and we take it as if it is for us. Okay? So there's a lot of words, there's a lot of chatter all around us that we hear, and unfortunately many coaches, okay, who suffers on this fail to realize that you are supposed to process this for your client, and the noise and the chatter is not for you. But when you work with a client, when you work with people, there's a lot of chatter, okay, and you're not able to validate what chatter goes to you and what chatter is supposed to be something to validate or something to process for your client. Okay, so when you say validate, when I say validate the chatter, you have to understand, is it really a voice that you have to take? Is it really a voice that you have to consider? Is it really a voice that needs to be part of your life, or it is simply a chatter? Okay, how many of you hears a lot of voices? When I say voices, legit voices. Okay, look. If you're a child, like if you're living with your parents or your parents are still alive with you right now, you hear words, you hear chatter from a parent. You hear a chatter as a child, right? If you are an employer, a business person, an entrepreneur, okay, there are chatters from your customers. There are chatter from your employees. Okay, now if you're a life coach, there are chatter from the people you know before you become a life coach. There are chatter from the people who are now new to your life, okay, and starting to speak as if they know you, isn't it? These are chatters that, and if you are doing any other things, you know, many coaches are doing multiple things. Many coaches are part-time coaches or personal growth coach, and you are doing any other profession. So you imagine a lot of chatters coming in. Now the question is, how do you validate the chatter? How do you validate the voice? Okay, why? Because if you're able to validate the voice, obviously the next thing that you have to do is to silence the voice. But you cannot silence the voice if you cannot recognize the voice. All right? Like, I'll take from a stand of a daughter, okay, of a child, of being a daughter or being a son. If your mother speak to you, do you validate if the mother is coming from a standpoint of concern or authority? Authority about what you do. Authority about the decisions that you want to take, or the mother is coming from a perspective that just a mother. You know, a mother would just tell you the things that they want to say, but it doesn't mean that you have to follow. Now, if you don't recognize the voices, that alone from your mother, okay, I don't know about you, but I have a mother who says a lot of things, okay, that have a lot of comments, have a lot of things to say. I'm not taking it negatively, but most of the things that my mother will be telling me are things that she is telling because I am her daughter. Okay, from a posture of you've been working hard, you've been doing this, you stop helping people and all. Can you connect? See, I have a mother who says that. Okay, now if you don't validate it as a voice of concern, you start thinking, am I overdoing things? Okay, now let's try the opposite. What if your mother, okay, tells you and come in and say like your mom is a stage mother, okay, there is such a thing as a stage mother, and your mother would say you're not performing enough, or how long you've been doing that thing and you're not producing. What are you supposed to be doing? What are you starting on? And all of those things. Now, if you take it from a perspective, oh, my mother is now an authority to what I do, then what you do? You shift gear. You shift gear and say, this is not working. My mother does not believe in what I do. I'm not accomplishing. I'm not progressing. We've heard a lot of people like that. And you throw in the towel. So what does the voice tells you? How do you validate all this chatter that's happening? Because if you don't know how to validate this, you will end up taking everything. And when you take everything, can you guess what will happen to your mental health? Obviously, it will go down the rail. All right? So I am just talking about the mother. What about your friends? What about your colleagues? What about your partners in life, your spouses, okay, your romantic relationships, okay? What about the people who knows you, like your mentors, okay? The people who's been speaking to your life even before you become a life coach. These are people who are significant in your life. But do you really understand? Do you really hear the words? And what perspective, what role are they playing in your lives today? Because I think you will agree with me that being a life coach, starting as a life coach and really progressing and thriving as a life coach is not an easy thing. It's challenging. You have to invest time, money, effort. And some people don't understand what we're doing. And would you agree with me? There's a lot of people who speak about what we do, even if they don't understand what we're doing. So you yourself must be in the position, okay, on first level, okay, must understand who are the voices you want to listen to, who are the authority in your life, and what voices really matters to you. Okay, let me drill this down. Who are the voices you will listen to? Of all the voices, you're supposed to know the voice that you will listen to. And what are those voices? Those voices that lift you up. Okay, immediately if the voice put you down, pull you down, if the voice is already detrimental to begin with, I believe as a life coach, you know what to do with the voice. Immediately. Okay. The authority. You even wait to validate. Is the voice an authority in your life? And when I say authority, it's different as an authority as a mother, as an authority of a business partner, authority as a boss. It's a different thing as an authority of a friend, okay, or a lover or a spouse, as against the authority in the professional field. You've got to understand that. Now, would you agree with me that at times, the authorities in our lives would have conflicts, right? The personal and the professional authorities could have conflicts. And when that happens, the third thing should come to place. Which of the voices valued at the highest? which of the voices is the highest value to you? Okay, who is the most valuable to you? So when all things else fail, you know what to pick up. This voice is the most valuable to me. And sometimes, this may not be the voice that gives you money. This may not be the voice in the authority of work, of the profession. What matters is this voice, okay? This voice would have your best interest. Okay, Coach Rafi, okay. Hello, Coach. Okay, so the voice that would have your best interest. Ultimately, that's the voice that's supposed to be the most valuable to you. Because whether it is in work, whether it's personal, whatever it is, you're a human being. Okay? And you have to know the voice or the voices that holds your highest interest, your best interest. And so you put the highest value on that voices. Clear? Does it help? Point number 2. Oo, daming voices. Oo, sana may bayad ang voices. Okay. Point number 2. Okay, this is where many of us are being troubled. Clutter. Clutter. Okay. Okay, how many of you are doing decluttering? Okay, what are you decluttering? What areas? Most of the time you declutter things. Have you ever thought of decluttering people? Yes. Because that's the most important thing. Which many of us just put on the side. Right? Okay? Now, coaches, hear me out on this. Okay? As a life coach, when we practice our profession, okay, normally our hearts expand. Would you agree with me? That previously, you can only accommodate 10 people in your life. You can only help 10 people. As you practice the profession, you notice that you feel like really a superhero and you can start helping multitudes. You can start helping thousands. You can start helping 100. Do you feel that? That like your heart expanded, okay, your heart is being stretched and wow, voila, I can help more people. Correct? Okay. Wow, superhero thing. But here's the thing, okay. At a certain point in time, okay, you have, okay, to ensure, okay, that you put a regular decluttering schedule. And this decluttering schedule should be intentionally for relationships. Okay? Most of high-paying, okay, high-performing coaches, they say that they do decluttering every quarter. They declutter. Now, some would do decluttering of contacts, like the phone books, the email addresses, okay? But to the highest level, those master coaches, normally what they do, they really declutter the presence of people that they allowed in their space. That's very tough. But they say that if you want to be productive, that if you want to use make the best use of your time, you're supposed to be able to declutter the people that you allowed in your personal space. Again, you're a human being, okay? And while your heart can be stretched, your space cannot. Your space. There is only a certain level that you can accommodate in your space. Yeah, sure, you can help thousands, 5,000, multitudes of people, but your life can only accommodate certain people. And many of us miss that there is a professional version or a professional self and the personal self. And most of the time you say, well, that's being selfish because I'm a service provider. Seriously? If you miss this, okay, you can no longer proceed and provide the service. Because the very person who's really being stripped off of that space is no other than you. Remember I started? You as a service provider, you is the service, you are the provider, you are the all in all. So if you don't take care of yourself and you allow anybody in your space, okay, and you don't safeguard your personal boundary, worse, if you don't declutter, you'll be full of thorns. The problem with thorns and weeds, they grow very fast. They grow very fast. I'll tell you why. Because, think about it. You imagine when you go through tough times in life and you start talking about your tough times, there's a lot of people who talk about tough times. Come on. It's like you magnet it. It's like people are so, my husband would say this, like if you post in Facebook and you post about happy moments, like great things, very few people would like or comment. But he said like this, post about pain, post about you're struggling, you're being challenged, and here you are, all the people really supporting you that. And interesting, indeed, that's the study shows. More people respond when you talk about anger, when you talk about pain, when you talk about hatred, when you talk about not the negative things. It's not the positive. It's more of the negative thing. So here's what it happens. If you allow the thorns and weeds to grow in your space without you decluttering it on a regular basis, eventually you will be consumed by their negativity. You will be consumed by their thoughts. You will be consumed by the way they look at things. Okay? So 3 things you have to do. Okay? You have to set aside a schedule, regular schedule intended for decluttering. Okay? This is not your typical retreat, typical self-talk, No. Like many coaches would do this. The master coach would say, a quarter every 6 months. You have to go through the people in your space, okay, and really see who's in my space. Okay? Tony Robbins said this during one of his talks and say, it's important to know who's in your team. That's very, very evident in the way he lives his life. Like, he really decluttered the people in his space. Okay? And he believes in that. Who are the people in your life? Who are the people in your space will define the results that you get in life. So schedule. Okay. Number 2, you have to know what you wanted to do when you do the decluttering. So you may schedule it every 6 months. But what is it exactly that you want to do with your relationship? Do you want to keep it? Do you want to throw it? Do you want to cut it and everything? Here's Master Coach A coming in. My thoughts, okay? You don't have to cut relationships because relationship can bloom later on in life, in a season, all right? But I believe you can park relationship. Just park. What's the difference of cutting and parking? Cutting is no hope of reviving. I mean, you cut it. By the way, when you cut, you just cut, okay? Just cut it. Don't, okay, cut and then revive. Cut and revive. You don't do that. When you cut, you cut. Alright? Cut, done. Alam mo yun. Oh, done na. Tapos na, cut na. Okay? So, there are relationships that you are supposed, and I believe you know that. You're a coach, so you're supposed to know that. You've been helping people to, navigate through life, so you know what are the relationships. And if you have already identified you have to cut it, then cut it. Okay. Here's the thing. The difference with cutting and parking is when you park a relationship, you still see them in your peripheral vision. You still see them. Okay? They're still on side, not in your side. Okay? Not a hindrance. Not a barrier, okay? But you still maintain the relationship, but they're on the side, okay? And they're on the peripheral. You can still see them, but your active vision is not on them. You're getting the point? So that's what it means to say, I'm parking the relationship, okay? You see them on the peripheral, but you don't connect with them actively. Yeah, sure, you're there on the side, but not actively. Okay, so you schedule when you do decluttering of your relationship. Number 2, you decide already what you wanted to do with that. And on the 3rd, as you do decluttering, it is important, okay, that you do the 3rd thing. And what's the 3rd thing? To ensure that you feel the space, okay, with the right relationship, with a nurturing relationship. Because there's such a thing as the law of space. The law of space says this: if you declutter, if you free up a space, sooner or later, you will start seeing the space being filled up. Think about it. If you clean up a particular closet or cabinet at home, after a few days, it's gonna be filled with things. So same is true with your relationship. If you declutter, you take away some of the relationships, okay, you park some of the relationship, definitely you have a space. And what would happen? If you have a space in there, okay, before you know it, it's again filled with people. Now, here's the thing. When you declutter, you're supposed to know who are the people you will allow access to that brand new space. Because it's different. I mean, I don't think it makes sense or have wisdom. You declutter it from the wrong with the wrong relationship, and then you allow another wrong people to come into your space. Okay? So the next time when you are able to free some of the spaces, you should be allowing nurturing relationship to come in and be part of your life. Done? Okay. And my third is this. So, chatter, clatter, and this is the third. If you want to maintain a positive health as you do our profession, you have to take action. You have to take action. You have to take action. Okay? Analysis paralysis will paralyze you. And many times in life, as we do coaching, as we do our professions, as we serve other people, okay, we ourselves are crippled to take the necessary action. And I want to dive in with what really cripples people, okay? One thing that really cripples you as a life coach, as a professional, of course, this applies to different, to all people, okay? But this is something that you as a life coach should really be looking into. One thing that cripples us, okay, and will really get you stuck on things is this. The things that you tolerate. So you've heard me talk about this, and I'll ask you again. What are the things that you tolerate in your life? Because the things that you tolerate in your life will cripple you. And the moment you get crippled, you cannot take action. So just in case you are in that position right now, that you feel you are crippled, you feel that there are things that you cannot take action on, or there are things that you are stuck with, okay, make an inventory, okay, get an inventory of the things that you tolerate in your life. Because most probably, one of these things, or maybe all of these things, are causing you now to be stuck or to be inactive. Because what you tolerate will only cripple you. Because what you tolerate will never get resolved. What you tolerate will never vanish. What you tolerate will never get done. What you tolerate will remain to be something that you tolerate. But at the end of the day, what you tolerate will cripple you. And if it cripples you and prevents you and hinders you in doing what you are called to do and achieving your full potential, it will put in danger your mental health, your mental condition. So many coaches suffers from this. Okay, this is common. This is common. This is not isolated cases. Many cases. Your case is not isolated, by the way. Okay, so just a consolation. If you are really a performing person, you are a performing coach, if you are doing exactly what we're called to do, that you've been helping people, you're changing lives, you're facilitating change, you are, helping people cope with transitions, these things really happens to you. You are full of chatter, you are full of clutter, and you can no longer take actions because you are already, by this time, crippled by the things that you tolerate. Because we're coming in from a perspective that we're a coach and we can accommodate all the chatter, we accommodate all the clutter, and we tolerate everything that needs to be handled. Okay? So, your mental health is the most important thing. More than the productions, more than the people you're helping, if your mental health starts to suffer, you cannot practice the profession and you cannot help more people. Keep the mental health as a priority. Mental wellness is a priority. It's not a by-the-way product. It's not an extracurricular activity. It's not something that you can put it aside. And at this point in time, if you feel that your mental state is being challenged, that your mental health needs help, okay, that your mental health needs attention, please, the first step that is really that you need to do, stop. S-T-O-P, stop. Stop. Because the longer you delay the word S-T-O-P, the danger gets higher and higher. The risk gets higher and higher, okay? I always believe in this principle. 1 step backward, 2 steps forward. There's nothing wrong with stopping. It won't cripple you. There's nothing wrong with stopping. It won't collapse the world. There's nothing wrong with stopping. It would not be the end of your career. There's always an opportunity to you for bounce back. There's always an opportunity to come back stronger, better, alive, okay, full of energy and zest, okay, than you dragging yourself towards the end of your career because your mental health is already suffering. Mental health is important. This is not by the way. Put the priority in mental health and you become the great coach that you always want to become. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Coach A. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Monday with Coach A. Bye-bye!